My name is Ashwin Badiga, and with me is Hari Haran.
Hi.
And we are PhD research scholars in the advanced stage. We'll be completing soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
And we are also the co-tutors for the course on business data management. And today we are here to discuss regarding the capstone project.
Yes.
So, Hari, could you please tell me as to what a capstone project is and why is that we are doing this?
So, what essentially happens in a capstone project? Now that you have 4 weeks of understanding about what business data management, what is happening in the business data management, and you may also be looking at case studies in the ensuing weeks, that will give a overall perspective about how data is managed in the business. This capstone project goes a little further ahead when it comes to this business data management course, where you actually try and collect primary data from different sources and then use it for, and collect the data and analyze the data and interpret the data so that certain insights come out of it. That's the very purpose of doing this capstone project, and that's the intention with which this capstone project is introduced in this particular business data management.
Hari, you did mention that something about primary data collection, or what is this primary data collection and how is it different from a secondary data?
Okay, so when you look at the primary data for this primary data, generally data is classified into primary data and the secondary data.
Okay.
The primary data is the data that you actually collect from the source itself, whereas the secondary data is the data which is available in the internet, or it could be available in a certain public document or whatever it is, and you use that for data analysis. So, this is the primary classification that we do on any data for that matter.
So, in the capstone project, we typically expect students to do a primary data collection,
yes,
collect the data, you clean the data, you analyze data, and you plot certain trends.
Make interpretations.
So, what is going to happen when you do this kind of interpretation? How is it going to help the decision makers, or how is it going to help anybody?
Fine. Now that we know what capstone project is,
yes,
what is that we are going to do in this capstone project?
Okay.
And how is that it is going to be useful
okay,
for anybody that I'm going to do?
Yes. So, this capstone project is a unique opportunity to carry out independent research, which will help you collect the data, you will be cleaning it, you will be analyzing the data, and you will be plotting certain various trends. That will help the decision maker or the person who has given you the data to come up with better decision making. It will help a manager to solve a real world problem. So, what typically you are going to do, as Hari mentioned earlier, is that you are going to collect primary data. By primary data, we mean that you are going to meet the people directly and going to collect data from them rather than collecting the data from already available sources. So, this is the main difference. And whenever you are doing a kind of primary data collection, it is quite complicated because it is not something which is direct. You need to speak to the people. There are a lot of challenges which is happening currently. The pandemic is there. But we would also like to show you as to how we have done it, to give you certain idea as to how this capstone project is to be approached. And though project of this scope and scale is quite challenging, I'm sure that you're going to enjoy as you work on this particular project. This is going to be an individual exercise and you're going to collect data at least for a period of 1 month. Yes. So, for example, today is 25th of September. So, if you're going to collect the data on 25th of September, you're going to typically collect data for a period of 1 month. So, what can you do with this? So, you can analyze trends for a weekly, on a weekly basis. You can analyze the trends on a monthly basis. You can analyze the trends for every 10 days or every 14 days or something like that.
Yeah. Ashwin, it will also be good if you can tell them as to where they can collect the data.
Definitely. So, firstly, what we are going to do is that me and Hari had just for the sake of illustration. So, we visited one of the wholesaler merchant in Chennai and we requested him to share the data. So, we are going to show you that first and then we are going to give you certain ideas as to how you can approach. Now, you might be having a question that given that it is pandemic, it is uncertain times, you cannot go out and collect the data. But it's that simple. You just don't have to go very far. You can speak to a kirana store which is near your home. You can also speak to a laundry person who is, you can speak to a person who owns a laundry shop. You can also speak to a vegetable vendor or anybody. But typically what you have to do is that you will be constantly in touch and you will be collecting data for a period of 1 month. So, this is what you have to do. So, what is that you are expected to do? It is very simple. Just step out. You don't have to go very far. see places around you and collect the data. It's that simple.
Make friends with
yes, and
some
typically in this process you tend to understand the shopkeepers. And let me point out to you that, Hari, in India, if you look at the market which is there, it is more of unstructured and unorganized.
Yes.
So you have to taking them into confidence and giving them a feeling that you have to take them into confidence, and you just tell them that this is a part of your project and we are going to give you certain insights which is going to help you in making better decisions.
Yes.
So me and Hari are now going to explain as to what we have done. This is for illustration purpose and to give you an understanding of what a capstone project is. So what we did is that we both visited a merchant wholesaler and requested the owner to share certain transaction details. And typically most of these businesses, like merchant businesses or wholesale business, they operate on a day-to-day basis, and most of their transactions are recorded on books rather than the softwares. So all these softwares are done with supermarkets and stuff. But if you go to a sabji mandi, if you go to a marketplace, you don't have any complex systems in place. They just have a book where they note their day-to-day transaction. And if you have to ask them, okay, what is the difference between last month's sales and this month's sales? So they'll not be able to give you accurate description as to what has really happened.
Yes.
So you don't have
scratching their head.
They would be scratching their head. They would not be knowing how much they have realized, what has been the profits, which is something which we feel it's a drawback. And
don't you think it's a very good value addition to the shopkeepers?
Definitely, it's a very good value addition to the shopkeepers. And most importantly, I would also like to state that a lot of food also gets wasted. So typically, when you collect the data, when you are giving them with certain insights, wastage also could be prevented in first place. You could also identify the stock which is moving very fast and procure them and keep in advance. You could identify the slow moving stock. You can also identify the non-moving stock. So all these things can be identified when you do a capstone project. Yes. So what we did was that we went to Chennai, a street in Chennai. And we collected data from a wholesaler merchant for the period of May and June 2021. So what we have done is we have changed the names of the various goods sold, but the remaining details like the opening stock, the item which was procured, the sales, everything remains the same. The prices and all is correct because we had to maintain anonymity. And in the below table, I am showing you all the details of the incoming stock, the sales quantity, the price and the closing stock. Now what is that I've done with this? This also gave me information about what was the lead time for procurement, how much, when did they procure it and when did they sell it. This is very, very important, right? You would not typically want to stock your vegetables or your groceries for longer periods because every item has its own shelf life. So in addition to that, I could also identify what was fast moving, what was slow moving and what was non-moving. All these insights briefly we have given in the table below. So we have collected data for 2 time periods. That is, we have collected data completely for the month of May as well as the month of June, and we will be showing as to how we have done it. And then you are expected to do it on the similar lines, and we'll also be giving you ideas on how you have to proceed further.
And this data is collected at the peak of the pandemic.
Yes, so
it's not an excuse.
Correct.
Pandemic is not an excuse to say that, oh, we can't collect the data.
Yeah. So typically you don't have to go even far, you can just speak to people around you. You really don't know, you are going to help somebody out, and if you can bring a smile on their face, what is that more you need? So okay, so here you typically see the various particulars, which is the goods which is being sold by XYZ merchants, so XYZ traders in Chennai. So the opening balance is nothing but the inventory of these existing goods which were there in his warehouse. So he typically sold some 15 to 20 items. And he's a wholesaler. So wholesaler means they typically sell in 25 or 30 kgs and not like what is being sold in the retail stores. So that is why you will find that the rates are very less than what you see in the retail stores. So he had 9,800 kgs of gram 1, which was priced 15 rupees 41 paise and which is valued at approximately 1,51,000. So the next thing is a column which is called as inwards. By inwards we mean that the amount, the procurement which he has done from the producer and which has come inside. And what happened is in the month of May, they procured 15,800 kgs at a price of 16 rupees 74 paise. Now you may be asking me as to why when in stock the price was 15 rupees 41 paise, but when it was procured it is 16 rupees 74 paise.
Yes.
So Hari, could you please explain as to why this is the case?
So when you look at these products, the price is not going to be the same, because the product's price is dependent on the demand, which you would have read in your economics class just 2 or 3 weeks before. So the prices fluctuate based on demand.
Correct.
So the demand for gram 1 in this particular case, when this was initially bought, could be very less, and therefore the price could be at 15 rupees and 41 paise, and something could have happened in the ensuing period in the month of May 1st to May 31st, May 31. So where the price could have increased, maybe pandemic could be the reason,
Yes.
maybe unavailability of transport could be the reason,
Correct.
the rise in the petrol price or the diesel price could be the reason, because of which the inward price has increased.
Yes.
Okay.
And during the pandemic, we also saw that, people were buying more than what they actually wanted.
Yes.
So what happens is that, the demand is more than what is being supplied. So that kind of creates a disequilibrium in the system, and then there are corresponding changes in the prices.
Exactly.
Now
It also can be seen from the outwards
which is being sold to the
customers.
And you see that 16,100 kgs were sold at an average price of 18 rupees 12 paise.
Ashwin, can I assume that by selling at 18 rupees and 12 paise,
Yes.
where you bought it at 16 rupees and 74 paise,
Okay,
the difference is the margin for me?
definitely yes. But however, you have to note here that 15,800 kgs was what was being brought. You already had 9,800 in stock.
Yes.
Okay, so when you add 9,800 with 15,800, you typically get something like 25,600. Now out of 25,600, 16,100 is being sold.
Yes.
So yes, definitely it's a profit. So when you compare it with what is being bought and what is being sold, there is definitely you do see a price difference of 1 rupees and 38 paise approximately. Yes, and then you are having the closing balance, that is at the end of 31st, whatever is being left, it is the closing balance which will be taken as inventory for the next time period. Now you might be having one more question, that when so the value is obtained by multiplying the quantity with the rate. So if you look at the first, if you look at the row
Open
gram
balance.
1, open balance, 9,800 into 15.41 gave me approximately 1.5 lakhs. 15,800 into 16.74 give me this much, which is approximately 2,65,000. 16,100 into 18.12 gave me approximately 2,91,000. So is the closing balance value the summation of opening balance value plus inwards minus outwards? The answer is no. The simple reason being, there is a fluctuation in the rates, and that is why the quantity would not be the same, because whatever you are having as a closing balance, which is 9,500 kgs, that particular day's price would be given and the value would be fixed on that particular price.
day.
However,
Exactly.
if you compute the quantities, 9,800 plus 15,800 is 25,600. 25,600 minus 16,100 is 9,500. So if you look at that, the quantities will be the same. However, you will see that the price is not the same, because the price in markets, the price fluctuates on a daily basis. Another example for you to make you understand is that, suppose you bought a kg of tomatoes for 10 rupees and you go tomorrow to the same store. The probability that it will be of the same price is very less. Almost, it is, I can just say that there is very low probability which is there. So again, then what we did is, we again asked him to provide us data for the next time period. And as you know, whatever is the inventory at the end of May 31st is the opening stock for the month of June 1st. And then again, certain inverts happened. Inverts is they had procured from the producer. Again, certain items were sold and the closing balance which is being given. So similarly, from this, what you can do is that you can plot certain trends. You can look at a weekly basis. Now, this is all a collated output which you are presenting to you. In fact, we had data for every point. So we collected it on first, second, third, fourth. This is the collective output which you are seeing. But when you are doing this, we would typically want you to analyze on a weekly basis or a monthly basis or a fortnightly basis, what is the change. So I hope that now that you have been introduced to various graphs during graphical plots.
So, don't you think that we can easily make a trend graph out of this particular data?
Exactly. And how is it going to help the decision makers?
Yes. See, maybe having 2-month data might not really help when it comes to trend analysis.
Correct.
But if you have, imagine 1-year data, you will come to know at what point in time the product is being sold more or the product is being sold less.
Exactly.
And therefore, correspondingly, the price also varies according to the demand of the product.
Yes.
So, As a retailer, as a wholesaler in this context, I would like to have more of the product when the price is very high.
Yes, yes.
And less of the product when the price is very low. So, this is for a wholesaler.
Yes.
But for a retailer, the cycle need not be even 6 months or 1 year. It can be even 2 months or 1 month. That should be enough.
Yes.
You go talk to a retailer, he will exactly come to say that the price of some product varies within a week also.
Yes.
So, I go to shop to buy vegetables for my home. First today I go and see the tomatoes price, it will be like 25 rupees.
Correct.
Next day it will be 30 rupees.
30 rupees.
Next day it will be 35 rupees, and then it might come to 15 rupees again. I ask them why there is so much fluctuation. He says, sir, in Coimbatore market we did not get tomato.
Exactly.
Okay, so retailer's story will be different from wholesaler's story, and that will be different from the manufacturer's story. So, you must be very clear as to what kind of story you want to say.
Correct.
So, if you want to go and say a story about a retailer, about his price fluctuations and other things, you might have to collect data appropriately for that.
And one more thing which I observed here was that, so they typically, wholesalers do not sell typically less than 25 kgs. So they were selling horse gram for approximately 31 rupees a kg. So typically if a customer has to buy a minimum of 25 kg. And just out of curiosity, I went to the retail store, same thing which was being sold for 31 rupees. 1 kg packet was being sold at 95 rupees. So you see the difference. It is like 60 rupees difference. But then you may be, then there naturally may be a question as to why this difference is huge. See, when you get this particular groceries, there is transportation cost involved. There are many other costs that are involved. You have to clean it because these grains would be having a lot of dust. So you will be clearing it, you will be packing it, and then you will be selling it to your final customer.
There will also be some wastages.
So there will be wastages. So all these costs get added, and that is why the retail prices are pretty much higher. One more example which I would like to cite is that recently, Hari, our Nandini tea store, and where typically they sell something called as dokla, which is a Gujarati kind of steamed Gujarati snack, and many of us really like it. I hope you also like it, which is served with nice chutney, pudina chutney, mint chutney.
Yeah.
So what happened is that we had been, I almost visit there once every 2 or 3 days, and every day whenever I have visited after 6 o'clock, doklas were not available. And then I asked him as to why doklas, if it is getting sold every day, so typically he makes 25-30 doklas, and if it is getting sold every day by 6 o'clock, why is that he does not make 40 doklas? So he told me that, the day I make 40 doklas, the day I make extra doklas, nothing gets sold. So everything becomes a waste.
Yes.
So I said, no, that could not be the reason. So that could not be the reason. So do you know as to why it was not getting sold?
Maybe festivities? Maybe.
Yes. So typically people prefer to eat certain days in a week. They do not prefer to eat certain days outside. And that was the very reason as to why doklas are not sold on the other days. So initially what he assumed as the reason for the reason as to why these doklas were not sold, it was kind of a spurious correlation where he attributed it to, you make luck. You say that you make a lot of doklas, it would not be sold. The answer was not that. The answer was that typically when I visited 5 to 6 times, I observed that on certain days of the week, the customers would not want to dine outside, and that was the very reason as to why the doklas were not being sold. So then I gave him this particular insight, and then he reworked on it and he increased the dokla quantity.
Oh, so that's very nice.
So this is one thing which...
but there is also one important insight that we must have to learn.
Yes.
The location of the place.
Yes, location of the place also is very, very important.
So if this particular Nandini tea store is going to be located in a central locality, say T Nagar in Chennai is very central locality where different sort of people come at all the time. So at that point in time, the idea of festivity may not work.
Yes, yes.
Because people might have, different type of people might have doklas at different
and
periods.
You kind of have a moving population.
It's a moving population. So therefore, the demand is kind of normalizes
so
over a period of time.
It depends on various conditions. There are certain contextual factors which come into place, which in fact, alter your demand and supply. Correct?
Exactly. And that is what we expect you as a student to understand and provide an insight that be really useful for the shopkeeper or retailer or whoever you're going to help out with the data. So that's the very idea of this capstone project, where you actually talk to the people, collect data, try to organize the data like the way Ashwin had explained you how organizing the data. So he has organized individual everyday data into, collected them into and put them into a monthly data.
Correct.
Likewise, you may have to organize the data in a weekly format or a fortnightly format or a monthly format, and if you wish to do a little more also, it's fine.
Yeah.
So you can do that.
You kind of draw graphs, because always they say that pictures are remembered better than words.
So my professor used to say that with picture you can't bullshit.
Yes. So when you have certain trends, you can analyze, and then you can predict what kind of demand is happening. Is there a spike? Is there a fall? What is the fast moving stock? What is the slow moving stock? What is non moving? What should be the reorder point, etc. All this could be determined. So now we have now that we have explained you all this, where is that you can collect the data from? Yes, you can collect it from the Kirana stores. You could also collect it from cab aggregators, Ola and Uber. Now you know Ola and Uber. Uber has this Uber Go, Uber SUV, Uber, they have different, different vehicles catering to different segments, correct? So typically you can just speak to the drivers, try to understand how many trips they are making per day, how much they are realizing from it, have a monthly data, and then make
you
certain
can suggest the driver as to, in this particular day in a month, instead of taking Uber Go trips, try to take Uber outstation trips. So you can make more money by doing that. That's the idea. That's the kind of insight that you may want to give to the cab driver, and I'm sure that you'll be certainly happy about that kind of insights.
In fact, you can also visit tea and coffee shops, because business is picking up well. You can visit the supermarket stores.
Well, when you talk about tea and coffee shops in Chennai, there might be around 20 to 30 shops with the name Chai Gali, Chai Shastra, blah blah blah. So you can take any one of that kind of shop, and then maybe
you can also visit supermarket stores like Big Bazaar. Just have a look at things around you. You can also go for laundry services, visit a laundry services store, and there are many more. So we leave it to your imagination, and we hope that we have convinced you as to what a capstone project is, and we look forward to your projects and interacting with you further.
In a nutshell, Ashwin, would you like to list down the entire process in a minute or two, so that they will be very clear about
so now that we have explained you what the capstone project is, so you typically first go and speak to the service provider, you visit a store and give them the confidence as to why you are doing this. I mean, don't just do it for marks. You should also have that intrinsic satisfaction that you're contributing to something. So you would be giving them the confidence, you will be explaining the purpose as to why you are doing this and how is that they are going to be benefited. So once that is done, you would be collecting the data. The minimum time period is 1 month. You will be cleaning the data, you will be analyzing the data, you will be plotting certain trends, and you will be also listing the set of implication, what has been your learnings and what is that can help the decision maker from all this analysis that you have done. How is it going to help the decision maker, and in what ways it has actually helped him, if you can go one step further. So I hope you will enjoy working on your capstone project, and we look forward to meeting you all soon.
So
that's it from us. Have a good day. Bye.